Who is making your decisions? How do you make better decisions in an AI world? Every day, you make decisions. Some are small, some change the direction of your life. The question remains, who is making them and how? Welcome to Unbox the podcast. I'm your host, Sahar Huneidi Palmer. Every week, we explore how greater self awareness helps us live and lead with clarity, purpose, and authenticity. Today, I want to talk to you about decision making. Whether you lead a business, manage a team, or simply want to make choices in your own life, this conversation matters because every decision writes the next chapter of your story. So, who really is making your decisions? Think about the last important decision you made. Perhaps it was changing jobs, starting a business, choosing a partner, accepting a promotion, investing more money or investing your money, or deciding whether to stay where you are. How do you make those decisions? Do you trust yourself? Or do you keep searching until someone else confirms what you already know? We are surrounded by information. Within seconds, we can read articles, watch videos, compare opinions, even ask artificial intelligence for advice. None of that is a problem. In fact, much of it is incredibly useful. I use technology every day. It helps me research, organize my work, and become more efficient. The problem begins when we slowly stop trusting our own judgment, when we believe there must always be another answer somewhere else outside ourselves. That is something I'm noticing more and more. People are collecting information, but they're struggling to make decisions. So, why have decisions become harder? When I work with clients, I often notice the same pattern. They arrive with pages of information, of observing themselves. They've researched every option. They've spoken to family, friends, and colleagues. Sometimes they have made a list of advantages and disadvantages, yet they cannot decide. This is rarely due to lack of information. It is usually lack of clarity. Those are two different things. Information tells us what is available. Clarity helps us recognize what is right for us, what is in alignment. That is why people can look at exactly the same opportunity and make completely different decisions. Neither decisions are necessarily wrong. Each person deciding from their own experience, their own values, their own priorities. Good decision making is personal. It cannot be copied from someone to someone else. And the same applies for decision making in business. Every leader makes decisions that affect other people. Who to employ, what projects to pursue, when to expand, when to wait, when to say yes, and indeed, when to walk away. Facts matter. So does research and experience, but leadership also requires judgment. There are moments when every spreadsheet looks good, every podcast looks positive, every expert has an opinion, yet something still doesn't feel right. Ignoring that feeling because you cannot explain it logically or immediately can become a very expensive mistake. This is where intuition begins to enter the conversation. The truth is, logic needs a partner. There is a common misunderstanding about intuition. People often think that we have to choose between logic and intuition. I believe that logic and intuition work together. Logic helps us collect facts, gather information. It helps us ask the right questions. It helps us understand what we're looking for. Intuition can add another layer. It notices patterns. It recognizes what fits in the bigger picture. The strongest decisions rarely come from logic alone. They come from allowing both to work together. That is true in business as well as in relationships or everyday life. It is true in every area of your life. That doesn't make intuition always right, but intuition deserves to be heard. Seeing the whole picture. One of the reasons people struggle when making decisions, it is because they only focus on one part of the picture. They look at the facts, they react with emotions, sometimes they become trapped in old belief systems or paradigms. That is why I have developed the 4 dimensions of change. Whenever I'm faced with an important decision, whether it's my own life or a client's, I encourage us to look at the 4 dimensions. What is happening, or Bima, what is happening in your body? Is it energized or exhausted? What emotions are influencing your decision? Are you acting with confidence or fear? What story is your mind telling you? Is it based on today's reality or yesterday's experience? Finally, what actions are you prepared to make? Every decision eventually becomes an action. Looking at the 4 dimension of change creates a clearer overall picture. It allows us to slow down just enough to make a conscious decision rather than follow what we did in the past automatically. So how do you make better decisions? There are other questions that I ask myself and I ask my clients. What happens when the result is not what you expected? Most people think they have failed. I don't see it that way. Every decision, rightly or wrongly, teaches us something. Some confirm that we were on the right path. Others tell us that we have made a mistake, but really it is redirecting us. Life is rarely a straight line. It's a series of decisions, adjustments, and lessons. The important thing is not to avoid making mistakes. It is to make decisions consciously. When we understand ourselves better, we usually make better decisions because we have become clearer. We have inner clarity. If this conversation is making you think differently about the way you make decisions, you might enjoy my online program. It's an e-course, video e-course, Unbox a Brighter Future. It introduces many of the principles we have discussed here and in the podcast. It helps you strengthen self-awareness, understand your own patterns, activate your intuition, so to speak, so that you can make decisions with greater confidence. You will find the link in the show notes. Let's talk about the courage to decide. Every generation faces its own challenges. Ours is learning how to live with unlimited information. Technology will continue to improve. Artificial intelligence will continue to develop. I believe that is a good thing. It can be a good thing depending on how and when you use AI for. It will help us work more efficiently. It will help us save time. It will continue to open remarkable possibilities. At the same time, I believe there is something we should protect, and that is our ability to think and reflect, that extra quality that I call intuition. Our ability to recognize when something feels right or when it doesn't sit well. That is where our humanity lives, and technology cannot emulate that. We are the ones who live with the consequences of making our decisions, not AI. That responsibility remains ours. Today, we explored one simple question. Who is making decisions? We looked at more information doesn't always lead to greater clarity. We talked about the difference between gathering facts and making wise decisions. We explored why logic and intuition work together for best results. Our dimensions of change can help us see the whole picture before we act. The decisions you make today will shape the story of tomorrow, so make them consciously. Remember, the quality of your life depends on the quality of your decisions. And the quality of your decisions depend on how well you know yourself. Thank you for joining me today in episode 26 of Unbox the podcast. If you have found today's conversation helpful, please, I would appreciate that you subscribe now to the podcast. Many people listen every week, yet a small percentage forgets or, I don't know, doesn't subscribe. Your subscription means that more people will discover this podcast. You will help the podcast to continue growing. Please visit my website, saharhuneidi.com, and check more information, more tools, and the e-course, Unbox, A Brighter Future. You can also sign up for my newsletter and get members-only discounts and free tools. I'm Sahar Huneidi Palmer. Thank you for joining me today on Unbox the podcast. I'll see you next Tuesday.